Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Now, as I think I said a couple of weeks ago on the channel, I was attending my first ever Warhammer 40k tournament, certainly for 8th edition now, so my first ever tournament in any edition, to be honest, happens to be 8th edition. So, local club just up in Uxbridge, BattleUX Gaming Club at the Battle of Britain Club. And yeah, 20 people, prizes for first, second and third and most sporting. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is just cover some photos. I had a little bit of a vlog kind of thing just before I started, just first thing this morning before heading off. I'll spin through some photos of the event, do a little talk over, and then right at the very end sort of discuss my opinions, thoughts, conclusions, whether I had a good time, bad time, what the results were and everything else. So hope you enjoy the video and we'll get on with the photos. So on my way to my first ever tournament, so we're just at the pickup point just to gather Ian up from White Shark Gaming because we're going to go together. You might remember him from my blog when we went to Warhammer Fest earlier this year. Zero expectations other than the fact it is going to be about 35 degrees today. Finally the UK's got some sunshine, and to celebrate I'm going to be indoors all day with sweaty nerds like me. So on we go, and yeah, we'll pick up the video a little bit later on. I've got my camera and everything else, hopefully to get some good photos. All the battle boards have all been set up. I've just seen that on the Facebook group last night. So yeah, wooden spoon or something a bit weird. Who knows? Who knows? It's my first time, first competition. So here we go. So this was the venue then, the Battle of Britain Club in Uxbridge in Middlesex in the UK. Pretty typical kind of working man's kind of club, obviously for sort of war veterans, I guess, more than for anyone. But yeah, I think pretty much most people can come along. So this is the main hall where all the tables were set up. You can see there are 10 tables because we had 20 people, and that's the capacity. All varying different battlefields, to be honest. Some sort of alien vegetation and so on. And to be honest, the terrain was really impressive. For a small club like this, suitably impressed. So I've got some photos of each of the tables here. So we've got sort of a strong point and some walls and a landing pad and some line of sight obstructing stuff. And then we've got a sort of quarry kind of looking board here with lots of terrain. Plenty of terrain on most of the boards, and having seen some of the horror MDF photocopied, super glued on kind of terrain, yeah, for a small club like this, really impressive. So, you know, sort of standard industrial city fight type terrain. There's some laser cut terrain knocking around as well. So yeah, suitably impressed as we go through these tables. So sort of a Tyranid capillary kind of table on this one. So it's been overrun by some Tyranids. I think these were actually 3D printed. These aren't the Forge World kind of heavy duty ones, but they were. Yeah, they did the job. I didn't play on all of these boards, obviously. It was 3 games for the event, so I only played on 3 of the boards. Another sort of alien kind of looking one here. Lots of weird purple type flowers. Probably favoured a shooting kind of army on this one. I didn't play on this board, but yeah, quite open kind of one. I did play my second game on this one though. So an Eldar looking board. Webway gates and all that kind of stuff. This was, it looked like laser cut MDF kind of stuff for that. Yeah, very pretty board. Glad I got to play on that one. Another one very similar to sort of the second or third board, so some Cities of Death kind of stuff. Enough to be scattered around that no matter what the deployment zone was going to be, someone's going to get some kind of cover and not be put too much at a hindrance. Again, very similar with this board, sort of standard Cities of Death kind of terrain. Very common across, I guess, most people's battlefields. But as I said, enough in each of the sectors not to cause too many problems for people. And yep, the final table just up here again. So there's like sort of 2 or 3 feature tables, I'd like to call it, and then sort of the others were a bit more standard, a bit more Cities of Death kind of one. And yeah, this one, you know, lots of container type stuff going on in this one, but you know, enough for a game. We're not talking boring 6-foot MDF boards. So yeah, very impressed with the terrain. So my first game then faced a Night Lord's army, a very themed and quite well painted Night Lord's army. Yeah, so really impressive. Lots of winged goodness in this army. So I plonked down my Imperial Fists and my little Vulture Gunship. Very interesting game. So he had 2 Helldrakes at the very start, which I took out from my, I guess it's a kind of Alpha Strike kind of list. Lots of Lascannons in the first game, in the first turn. Then he closed ranks and then unleashed hell. Quite literally unleashed hell. Got lots of things into combat. One of the surprising parts of the game, there was my Land Raider Spartan in combat with the Demon Prince. Admittedly, he was down to 1 wound, but yeah, under his crushing claws, managed to slay the Warlord. But unfortunately, he did take both of the objectives in the mission, and yeah, pretty much everything else kind of fell apart, really. So first game in, and quite a heavy defeat. I did forget a couple of key things, like shooting flyers and things. My Vulture Gunship didn't fire in the first turn. I just got a bit excited about taking out Helldrakes, I think, which may have made a little difference, but overall, not really going my way this game. So well played to Mr. Chaos Player. But yeah, as I said, lots of wings, lots of fly things, lots of raptors are all jumping around. Very thematic, which is good to see. And kind of set my expectations for the first game, really. So not seeing complete cheese fest, but a well balanced, I'd say army. And I think balance is key in 8th edition. It's turning out that if you can weather that first turn, if you're not going to get it, yeah, you're going to do pretty well afterwards. Some nice little touches there on the front grill plate. There's a little Dark Angel being smushed in, impaled on the front there. So yeah, it was a good game, a very exciting game. It did have a swing and a balance in around turn 3, and then all of a sudden this kind of happened, and yeah, my Spartan was kind of stuck, and he's got Mauler Fiend in there, and then the Demon Prince, after he finished off my jump pack captain in the top corner, swung around. Took the objective, charged in, and then yeah, this combat here didn't go too well. I did shrug off quite a few 4+ invulnerable saves from that beast, but at the end of the day, it wasn't to be. But as I said, nonetheless, a great game. So the second game, this time was, I'd probably say it was a bit more of the competitive list. Out of the 3 games I played, this was probably more competitive. I think some people might not agree, but it has Rabute Guilliman in it, it had Tigurius in it, so 2 big named characters, 6 Razorbacks all loaded with 5-man squads, a couple of Devastator squads, another Librarian in there as well, and I think there was a Tech Marine with the Conversion Beamer in there. So forming that big bubble around Rabute Guilliman, giving lots of rerolls to hit, lots of rerolls to wound, and then fixing all his vehicles with the Tech Marine. Yeah, I'd probably say by big boy tournament standards, it's probably not the most competitive, but when you start sticking big name characters in there, it does become very dangerous. And especially when I was running that triple flyers, those rerolls to hits and rerolls to wound were quite punishing. And we were playing tactical objectives here. I drew some absolute dud-awful cards. So the first 6 cards I drew for the first mission, I didn't have any objective-taking ones. I couldn't actually achieve 3 of them. So I was having to ditch cards at the end of my turn and so on. But yeah, very exciting game, very close game. And actually, when it came down to the wire, there was only 1 victory point in it in favour of me. So I did actually win my first ever tournament game, mostly by ignoring Rabute Guilliman. And a big highlight for me, taking out 2 of those Razorbacks, which it did explode, and they exploded their goop all over Tigurius, and actually killed his own Psyker with those mortal wounds from an exploding vehicle. Quite funny, as I did have a kill the Psyker tactical objective. That was the only way I could get to it, was trying to force his vehicles to explode all over them, and that did more damage than probably most of my army. So the final game then was against a mechanical list. Again, very, very well balanced list. So we did have a knight in there, which I did. I didn't get all the pictures on this, but I did take 21 wounds off the knight in the first turn. And then the Dune Crawler opened up with his mega laser and took out my Spartan in return. I think by the end of turn 2, both of us were reduced to about 3 units. It was bloody mess. And then we spent 3 more turns sort of shifting around the objectives, trying to actually get the win. And we did lots of little bits of maths. I think I was up 7-6 on the objectives. And all he had to do was reduce that middle squad that you can see on that sort of middle tile. All he had to do was shoot that and make them run away or kill them. To make it go 6-5, and he succeeded. So very well played. That was a great game. That actually got my favourite game vote, to be honest, or most sporting opponent vote. Again, balanced army, Survived the onslaught from all my Lascannons, which I was kind of, I guess, over putting too many eggs in one basket maybe. And yeah, I think balance it rules the day. So, what did I think of my first ever tournament experience? Was it what I feared? Was it what I expected? Was it somewhere in between? Now, to be honest, let's run through a few bits. Organisation. So, credit to where credit is due. Organisation, pre-planned on Facebook. I was given a notification or a link by someone attending, so therefore I saw him attending an event. That's how I found out about it. Rules pack, plenty of notice. Didn't ban Forge World. I think the only real limit was only 3 detachments allowed, which wasn't too bad. We weren't using any of the new chapter approved stuff, which is rumoured for, well, we know it's kind of coming along in December kind of thing. And I know ITC events have already taken that on board, particularly for the first turn and bits and pieces like that. So because it's not official, the guys here decided not to use it, but we were using the standard FAQ, so that was all good. So credit where credit is due. Organisation was great. The tables are all pre-set up. I believe they were set up yesterday. We had some pictures on Facebook go up, so we could see all the tables set up. No rushing around in the morning in cupboards and things, trying to dust off some terrain. So fantastic job, guys. Well done. Next thing then, prizes. It's always good when you pay a small entry fee. So I think we paid £10 to enter. £3 covered the hire of the hall, and then £7 went into, I guess, the club kitty for prizes and maybe some ongoing terrain management, terrain support and things, which I'm in full support of. So yeah, organising prizes is always good for a paid attendance entry. I think something that maybe Games Workshop could perhaps think about on their GTs and stuff, instead of just giving out some certificates for their £65 price tag. Prize support, like many other companies do, is something that I think should happen. But well done to the guys organising those. Terrain and tables then. So as I mentioned during the photographs, really impressed with the terrain and tables. I've seen a lot worse. I have seen MDF boards, as I said, with nothing on. So for a small club like this to look after, manage and maintain the terrain, apparently there has been some damage over the years, but it looked in pretty good order. Plenty of coverage, plenty of line of sight blocking, plenty of cover, all that good stuff, and suitable amounts of it across all the boards. So another positive. Armies. I guess armies is probably the big one that I had the big fear of. Was it going to be cheesemonger, cheesefest, horrific alpha strikes, real nasty lists that you see on the internet from the likes of Dakar and all those other weird and wonderful forums where people net list and come up with dirty lists. Out of 20 players, I don't know the names of all 20. I could probably find out, but I don't know the names of everybody. Competitive wise, I would probably say it wasn't as bad as I thought. On the whole, certainly the armies that I played were not completely filthy. So credit due for the guys not necessarily looking up on the internet and building a list. Now there probably were a couple of lists. If you've ever seen 88 tower drones on a table before, you might know what I'm talking about. So I think there was a list with about 80 odd drones, another list with around 60, and lots of crisis suits and stuff. So there was a lot of drone action. I would probably say that might be the most competitive that was there, really. I'm not the biggest Tau player, but I do know that those Tau lists are pretty sick and pretty hard to beat, just on volume of numbers and volumes of saves that they get to make. But overall, yeah, not what I was expecting in a good way. So very happy. I didn't get to play those guys, fortunately, but yeah, overall, not too bad at all. Yeah, the one other list, I'm glad I probably didn't play it. I know someone who did. Ian played it, and yeah, it wasn't a very pretty game. Was the Nephilim Strike Fighter Raven Wing army. So flyers that typically you're needing -1 to hit fly, and then you take their shrouding rule, it makes you -2. He ran a Grot army just for shits and giggles, and suddenly basically couldn't hit anything. So yeah, that went kind of one-sided. I think that was a real scissors meets paper kind of matchup then, when you've got nothing that can, you're hitting on 6s or even 7s if you move a heavy weapon. I think most orc weapons are assault weapons, but in the most case, yeah, you're going to struggle to hit with little grots with puny weapons. So yeah, unfortunate matchup, I would say. I think many other armies, in fact, the Raven Wing Nephilim list did lose its first game, so If it was super powerful, I expected to win all 3. So there's obviously occasions when these lists do meet, you know, paper lists do meet scissors, or scissors meet rock. So I think that's the way for 8th edition in most circumstances. In summary then, for my first tournament experience, would I go again? Yes. Would I go to this place again? Definitely. Was it a great experience? Yes, I think on the whole, I would say it probably was a good experience. So I'm glad I went. I'm glad I experienced my first competitive event. Would I have expected harder lists? Probably yes as well. But as I said, credit to the players for theming lists, very balanced lists on the whole. Balance seems to, for me, was the crux. If I'd faced extreme lists, I might have done better or might have done worse. But a more extreme list maybe was probably what I was gearing up for. Didn't face those, faced the balance list, and was defeated. So out of the 3 games, in summary, I lost the first one quite heavily. I won the second one marginally, and I lost the third one marginally as well. So could have swung either way, but yeah, could have lost all 3, or I could have won 2. But it was very close. Thank you to all the opponents if you do get to watch this video. I'm going to try and post a link to their gaming forum at the end of this video, so if you want to go and check them out, if you happen to live local and want to travel across to their next event. But yeah, overall, more than happy with my performance. I could have been better. I could have remembered to shoot things. But yeah, very positive experience. If you haven't been to a tournament, try local ones first. I think they're a bit more forgiving than maybe the big GT kind of ITC organised events. Give it a go if it's your thing. If it's your thing, you find out for a lot less cost. And if you do like it, look to go to something bigger, or at least get a few more smaller events under your belt, and then go from there. So, thumbs up from me. Thank you very much for hosting us today, guys. Really appreciate it. It was a good event. And until then, I shall catch you on the next video.